Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you for today's Ishopanishad session. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Reading from the book Sri Ishopanishad, the knowledge that brings one nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, by His Divine Grace, Vishwaguru Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Mantra 10. Anyadevahurvidyaya anyadahur avidyaya iti shushrumadhiranam yenastadvichachakshire. Word to word meaning. Anyat, different. Eva, certainly. Ahuhu, said. Vidyaya, by culture of knowledge. Anyat, different. Ahuhu, said. Avidyaya, by culture of nescience. Iti, thus. Shushruma, I heard. Dhiranam, from the sober. Ye, who? Naha, to us. Tat, that. Vichachakshire, explained. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The wise have explained that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge and that a different result is obtained from the culture of nescience. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As advised in chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita, verses 8 to 12, one should culture knowledge in the following way. 1. One should become a perfect gentleman and try and learn to give proper respect to others. 2. One should not pose himself as a religionist simply for name and fame. 3. One should not become a source of anxiety to others by the actions of his body, by the thoughts of his mind, or by his words. 4. One should learn forbearance even in the face of provocation from others. 5. One should learn to avoid duplicity in his dealings with others. 6. One should search out a bona fide spiritual master who can lead him gradually to the stage of spiritual realization, and one must submit himself to such a spiritual master, render him service, and ask relevant questions. 7. In order to approach the platform of self realization, one must follow the regulative principles enjoined in the revealed scriptures. 8. One must be fixed in the tenets of the revealed scriptures. 9. One should completely refrain from practices which are detrimental to the interest of self realization. 10. One should not accept more than he requires for the maintenance of the body. 11. One should not falsely identify himself with the gross material body, nor should one consider those who are related to his body to be his own. 12. One should always remember that as long as he has a material body, he must face the miseries of repeated birth, old age, disease, and death. There is no use in making plans to get rid of these miseries of the material body. The best course is to find out the means by which one may regain his spiritual identity. 13. One should not be attached to more than the necessities of life required for spiritual advancement. 14. One should not be more attached to wife, children, and home than the revealed scriptures ordain. 15. One should not be happy or distressed over desirables and undesirables, knowing that such feelings are just created by the mind. 16. One should become an unalloyed devotee of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna and serve him with rapt attention. 17. One should develop a liking for residence in a secluded place with a calm and quiet atmosphere favorable for spiritual culture, and one should avoid congested places where non devotees congregate. 18. One should become a scientist or philosopher and conduct research into spiritual knowledge, recognizing that spiritual knowledge is permanent, whereas material knowledge ends with the death of the body. These 18 items combine to form a gradual process by which real knowledge can be developed. Except for these, all other methods are considered to be in the category of nescience. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a great acharya, maintained that all forms of material knowledge are merely external features of the illusory energy, and that by culturing them, one becomes no better than an ass. This same principle is found here in Sri Ishopanishad. By advancement of material knowledge, modern man is simply being converted into an ass. Some materialistic politicians in spiritual guise decry the present system of civilization as satanic, but unfortunately, they do not care about the culture of real knowledge as it is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Thus, they cannot change the satanic situation. In the modern society, even a boy thinks himself self sufficient and pays no respect to elderly men. Due to the wrong type of education being imparted in our universities, boys all over the world are giving their elders headaches. Thus, Sri Ishopanishad very strongly warns that the culture of nescience is different from that of knowledge. The universities are, so to speak, centers of nescience only. Consequently, scientists are busy discovering lethal weapons to wipe out the existence of other countries. University students today are not given instructions in the regulative principles of brahmacharya or celibate student life, nor do they have any faith in any scriptural injunctions. Religious principles are taught for the sake of name and fame only, and not for the sake of practical action. Thus, there is animosity not only in social and political fields, but in the field of religion as well. We will discuss this part of the purport. The remaining part we will read tomorrow and discuss. So now we are in the 10th mantra of Sri Ishopanishad. Yesterday we saw the ninth mantra, which said that those who engage in the culture of nescient activities enter into the darkest region of ignorance. And worse still is the position of those who are engaged in the culture of so called knowledge. So we saw the difference between vidya and avidya, knowledge and nescience. So, continuing the same theme in this mantra, Ishopanishad is saying that Anyada evahur vidyaya, Anyadahur avidyaya, iti shushruma dhiranam yenastad vichachakshate, vichachakshire. The meaning of this verse is the dhiras, dhira means those who are sober, those who are spiritually advanced. They, what do they say? They have explained, vichachakshire means they have explained that anyad evahur vidyaya. One kind of a result is derived by cultivating vidya or culturing knowledge, whereas anyad ahur avidyaya. Another kind of result is obtained by the culture of nescience. Nescience means so called knowledge, or in other words, no, it is ignorance which is disguised as knowledge. That means one kind of result is obtained when we cultivate real spiritual knowledge, and we have seen in the yesterday's session the way to cultivate real spiritual knowledge is to actually approach a bona fide spiritual master, render service to him, humbly inquire in a submissive spirit, ask questions, and gain the transcendental knowledge. This is the direction of the Mundaka Upanishad and also the Gita Upanishad, the Bhagavad Gita. Now, the same thing is also echoed here in the Isha Upanishad. So, all the Upanishads are telling the same thing. Human life is actually meant for gaining spiritual knowledge. We may have taken birth in ignorance, but we should not die in ignorance. That will be the greatest fault on our part if we do so. Because human life affords us an opportunity where we have developed consciousness. And using this developed consciousness and higher intelligence, we should seek knowledge beyond our body, beyond the pleasures of our material body. That is actually the proper use of human life, the proper utilization of this human form of life. That is why in the Vedanta Sutra, Vedanta means the ultimate conclusion of all the Vedic knowledge. In the Vedanta Sutra, it is said, Athato Brahma Jignasa. Now that you have got a human form of life, inquire about spiritual subject matter. That is the foremost duty of every human being. So, when we inquire about spiritual knowledge, and when we are fortunate enough to be guided by a bona fide spiritual master, we get what is known as real Vidya. Now, what is this Vidya? What does it comprise of? What is this spiritual knowledge? In the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, in the very beginning, Lord Krishna gives a list of 18 items which comprise of knowledge. Now, knowledge may be an abstract thing, they may think. Knowledge is abstract. How do we see knowledge? We can see knowledge in the behavior of a person who possesses knowledge. How does a person who possesses real knowledge, how does he behave in this world? What is his approach towards others? What is his approach towards his own body? So these are all the subject matters that Lord Krishna lists in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And he says these 18 items is actually knowledge, and anything apart from this is ajnana or ignorance. What are those 18 items? Srila Prabhupada has listed here in the purport. Let us see one by one. First of all, one must become a perfect gentleman and learn to give proper respect to others. So, one should give respect to every living entity. This is the first symptom of a person who is in real knowledge. It is said, Vidya dadati vinayam. A person who has vidya, real knowledge, he has this quality called vinayam, humility. Humility means not to expect respect from others, but being ready to give respect to everyone. So, the foremost symptom of a person in knowledge is he is respectful to others. Now, the scriptures say that what to speak of human beings? A perfect, spiritually awakened gentleman gives respect even to animals, even to an insignificant ant. What does that mean? So, when you see an ant, does it mean you should fold your hands and say namaste? Is that the meaning? No, that's not the meaning. We have to learn to give due respect to every living entity. Due respect means respect according to their position. The respect that we can offer to an ant is While walking, just ensure that you don't walk over the ant and trample it and kill it. That is the minimal respect. In other words, every jiva in this world is a part and parcel of Krishna. Every jiva is a son of Krishna. Just like we have the right to survive, we have the right to live, we must recognize other jivas' right to live also. This is called respect. So, a person who has awakened spiritual knowledge, he will not unnecessarily kill animals just to satisfy his tongue and belly. So, this is respect. Because every jiva is going through the evolutionary cycle to progress towards the higher consciousness. And when I kill an animal, I am interrupting its journey in the evolutionary cycle. And this is disrespect for that jiva. It is also disrespect for the Lord who has put the living entities into different bodies. So, when one becomes accustomed to eating the flesh of other animals, one loses the opportunity for spiritual cultivation of knowledge. That is why it is said the first thing that one must do in order to make spiritual advancement is stop being violent towards other species of life. Just because we are human beings and we are more powerful, and just because the poor animals whom we kill in the slaughterhouses cannot protest, we should not take advantage of their weakness. So therefore, uh, that is called being a perfect gentleman. We generally think being a gentleman means respecting the fellow human beings. That's all. But no, the Ishopanishad, the Bhagavad Gita is extending the concept and saying that real gentleman is one who respects every jiva, not only human beings. So, the first symptom of a person who is in real knowledge is that he is respectful towards others. He offers proper respect to every living entity. Now, the second symptom here, we are discussing the 18 items of knowledge that Krishna reveals in the Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter. So, the second symptom, the second item of knowledge is one should not pose himself as a religionist simply for name and fame. So there are a lot of people who claim that they are great God men. They even say that I have never read Bhagavad Gita in my entire life, but I am a great guru who can guide everybody, and they have big number of followers. So just for name and fame, claiming to be a great person of religion is actually a symptom of lack of spiritual knowledge. A person who has real spiritual knowledge will never claim that he is a great religionist just for the sake of making a big number of followers, just for propaganda. We see that kind of a thing is increasing in this Kali Yuga. We see there are so many so-called spiritual organizations, self-styled spiritual godmen. They have big number of followers, and they give big huge amount of donations to run their organizations, but there is no stuff in their philosophy because they do not follow the revealed scriptures. They try to manufacture their own way of spirituality, and they even do not impose restrictions on their followers. When Srila Prabhupada went to the West to preach Krishna consciousness, he told his followers these four regulative principles you must follow: no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex. Now, these four things are very difficult for the Westerners to follow because the Westerners, from day one of their life revolves around these four activities: eating meat, taking intoxicants, drinks, and gambling of different types, and also um, no meat eating, intoxication, and illicit sex. These four are very, very common Now, all over the world it is common, but especially in the Western civilization, it is rampant. But even to a newcomer, Srila Prabhupada said, if you want to make advancement on the spiritual path, you have to give up these four sinful activities. No compromise on this. Prabhupada did not simply, he said, okay, you do whatever you want, still you can make spiritual progress. He did not water down the philosophy, right? Just to gain a big number of followers, he did not say, okay, even if you could not follow the regulative principles, it's okay. You come to me, you give me donations, and I will make you spiritually advance. Prabhupada never did this kind of a bogus propaganda. So Prabhupada said, compared to the other bogus movements or bogus religious systems, there are less number of followers in Krishna consciousness. That's because not everybody appreciates our regulative principles and restrictions. But that doesn't mean that we compromise on our principles just for name and fame, just to gain big number of followers. One should not water down the philosophy, Srila Prabhupada said. So, the second symptom of a person who is truly in spiritual knowledge is he does not pose himself as a religionist simply for name and fame. The third one is one should not become a source of anxiety to others by his actions of the body, thoughts of the mind, or by his words. So, one should not create udvega for others. Udvega means anxiety. A person who is in real knowledge, he speaks, he thinks, he acts in such a way that all that leads to the welfare of others, not to put others into trouble or difficulty. That is a symptom of a person who is in real knowledge. On the contrary, a person who has half knowledge or no knowledge, his actions and words always create disturbance to the world. That we have been seeing. There are ample examples for that. Right from the demons that we read in our Srimad Bhagavatam, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, till the modern day so called atheist leaders of the society. So they only speak in a way which agitates the minds of the listeners. And such people, even though they don't have real stuff, they simply go on making big propaganda just to get big number of followers. And they don't know what is the real purpose of life. And they are posing themselves to be leaders and administrators and lawmakers. How will they guide their dependents and followers? So such kind of a bogus propaganda is going on in the modern days of Kali Yuga. So, but a person who is in real knowledge, he always thinks, speaks, and acts in a way which is beneficial for others. A classic example for this is Narad Muni. We talk about Narad Muni, we hear about him in the revealed scriptures. Of course, the way Narad Muni is portrayed in the modern cinemas and TV serials, it is not the right, authentic way. Often Narad Muni is portrayed as a person who takes pleasure in putting others into difficulties or creating quarrels among individuals and taking fun of it and enjoying the fun when the quarrel is happening between two people. This is not the actual position or character of Narad Muni. Narad Muni Bajai Veena Radhika Ramana Name. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in a song, Narad Muni is a saintly person. He's a pure personality. He always chants the holy names of the Lord. And chanting the holy names, he travels everywhere in the entire universe. And he enlightens people by his spiritual wisdom. And he is such an expert that he is not only welcomed by the devotees, even the assemblies of demons welcome him because Narad Muni expertly speaks even to the demoniac people and gradually guides them towards what is really beneficial for them. Of course, the demons might not take his instructions, but he does not give up his nature of doing welfare for all the living entities, including the demoniac people. This is the symptom of a person who is in real knowledge. He does not consider anybody to be his enemies. He does not create difficulties for anybody. Instead, he is always thinking about loka hita, the benefit of the whole world, right? So, this is the third symptom of a person who is in real knowledge. Now, the fourth symptom here, it is said, one should learn forbearance even in the face of provocation from others. Even when we are provoked by others, if we are tolerant, if we don't get agitated, then that means we have spiritual knowledge. We are acting on the platform of spiritual knowledge. Example for this is Prahalada. Prahalada, he was a 5-year-old boy. He was put into so many difficulties by his own father, Hiranyakashipu, because he happened to be a devotee of the Supreme Lord, whom his father Hiranyakashipu considered to be his enemy. But even though Prahalada was threatened in so many different ways, he was not at all agitated. He was very, very tolerant. So, tolerance can happen. We can become tolerant to others' comments, others' criticism, only when we genuinely develop spiritual knowledge and realization. So, another example, it is said in Maharashtra, there was a great devotee saint called Santa Tukaram. He was sitting on the river bank once and he was chanting the holy names of Lord Hari. And at that time, just to provoke him, somebody came, filled his mouth with water, and he spat at the face of Tukaram. So when he was spat, you know, he was expecting that this Tukaram will become very angry and he will give up his chanting and his mind will get disturbed and agitated if I spit on him. With this intention, he went. But what did Tukaram do? He just smiled, continued to chant, went to the river, took a holy bath, took a dip, and came back to his position. He sat there and continued chanting. Now, this man, he was surprised with this behavior. Now, again, he went and did the same thing. He again filled his mouth with water and spat that water on Tukaram's face, on his body. Again, Tukaram gave the same response. He just smiled, went, took bath, and came back. Like this, it is said for many, many times he did. According to one version, 100 times he did like this. And every time Tukaram did the same thing. He smiled, went to the river, took a dip, came back, continued to chant the holy names of the Lord. Now finally, this man who had come to agitate Santa Tukaram, he became tired and he asked, "Oh, Tukaram, I have offended you so many times by spitting at you, but I see that you are not at all disturbed. You're not getting angry at me. How is this possible?" So for that, Santa Tukaram smiled and said, "Why should I be angry at you, O young man? I should thank you instead, because you have given me 100 opportunities to take holy bath in this sacred river. Generally, every day only once I would take a dip in this river, but today, because of your mercy, I have taken dip in this river 100 times. Thank you so much." Like this, he thanked that person. So this was an unexpected response for that young man. He was so much touched by these words of Santa Tukaram. He fell at his feet, begged forgiveness, and asked him to accept him as his disciple. Now, this is an incident. Now, in our lives also, there are incidents where people comment upon us, they criticize us, and immediately we become very much agitated. We can't tolerate somebody speaking against us. We can't tolerate somebody giving a little inconvenience to us. We immediately blast that person. This only shows that we have not conquered our inner mental and bodily urges. We have become a servant of our senses and mind. So, a person who actually develops spiritual knowledge, he is not at all agitated. One who becomes engaged in spiritual knowledge, cultivation, and practice of that knowledge, such a person can develop huge amount of forbearance, tolerance. This is what Krishna also says in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Very interesting verse. Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha agama apayino anityaha tam stitikshasva bharata. He says, just like the summer and winter season come and go, in the same way, material happiness and distress in our lives also comes and goes. A person who is really wanting to make spiritual advancement should learn to tolerate these without getting disturbed. Tam stitikshasva. We have to learn to tolerate. So tolerance is possible only when we have a spiritual goal to achieve, right? The spiritual master has given us a goal. Every day we must chant a fixed number of times of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. When we are focused on that goal, on executing that instruction, and the chanting of the holy name purifies our consciousness, automatically we develop these good qualities like tolerance, forbearance, all these things. So, we have to cultivate spiritual knowledge, and we are so fortunate that Srila Prabhupada has made himself available through his Vani in the form of his books like Ishopanishad, which we are reading and relishing. These books are not only meant for reading and relishing, these books are meant, the wisdom of these books are supposed to be applied in our daily lives. Then we can see a tremendous transformation in ourselves. And we can also help others to transform their lives. Then our human life is successful. Human life is successful when we learn and practice the spiritual knowledge and share the spiritual wisdom with others. So let us spend every day time, quality time, studying books like Ishopanishad and Bhagavad Gita, and let us improve our spiritual quotient, SQ, and improve, enhance the quality of our life and existence. We will continue to read and discuss more in tomorrow's session or the next session. Thank you very much for your valuable time. Shri Ishopanishad ki jai, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Now we will chant the Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter. I request you to stay online for a while.